The Friday evening air in Coronado, California carried the salt tang of the Pacific as Kira Brennan pushed open the heavy wooden door of Murphy's Tavern. October 24th, 2024. A date that would change everything. She was 27 years old, 5 feet 3 inches of compact muscle wrapped in deceptive softness. Auburn hair fell past her shoulders in waves that caught the dim bar lighting like copper wire. Green eyes swept the room in a pattern so automatic she didn't even register doing it anymore. Exits, windows, potential threats. 8 years out of active service hadn't dulled the instinct. "Over here!" Addison waved from a corner booth, her blonde hair pulled back in a ponytail, still wearing her nurse's scrubs from the hospital shift. They'd been friends since high school, back when Kira was just another girl with big dreams and a dead father she barely remembered. Kira slid into the booth, back to the wall. Always back to the wall. "Long week?" Addison asked, pushing a beer across the scarred wood table. "They're all long now." Kira took a sip, let the cold liquid wash away the taste of espresso and disappointment. 3 months working at the Anchor coffee shop. 3 months of taking orders from tourists and yoga moms. 3 months since she'd felt like herself. The Navy had been her life. SEAL Team 3. 7 years of missions she couldn't talk about in places she couldn't name. Doing things that still woke her up at 3 in the morning with her heart hammering against her ribs. Then one day a medical review board, a hearing, and suddenly she was Lieutenant Kira Brennan, retired. Too many concussions. Too much accumulated damage. The very thing that made her good at her job had ended it. "You should come out more," Addison was saying. "This hermit thing you've got going isn't healthy." "I'm here, aren't I?" First time in 6 weeks. Kira didn't have an answer for that. The truth was, places like this made her uncomfortable now. Too many people. Too much noise. Too many variables she couldn't control. Civilian life was supposed to be easier. Nobody had mentioned it would feel like drowning in slow motion. The door crashed open. 5 men stumbled in, already drunk, already loud. Kira clocked them automatically. Mid-30s, military builds gone soft around the edges. The kind of swagger that came from men who'd once been something and couldn't let it go. The leader was tall, maybe 6'2", dark hair buzzed close to his skull. Tattoos crawled up his forearms, Marine Corps ink but faded. Old. They commandeered the bar, voices rising above the classic rock bleeding from the speakers. Murphy's was a military town bar. Most nights that meant respect, quiet professionalism, the brotherhood that transcended branch and rank. Not tonight. "Hey, beautiful." The tall one had spotted them. His eyes locked on Addison, then slid to Kira with an appraising look that made her jaw tighten. "Why don't you ladies come sit with real men?" Addison's smile was polite, practiced. The nurse's smile she used on difficult patients. "We're good here, thanks." "Come on, don't be like that." He was moving toward them now, his 4 friends forming a loose semicircle behind him. "I'm Caleb. These are my boys. We don't bite. Much." His friends laughed. The sound had edges to it. Kira's voice came out flat, final. "She said we're good." Caleb's attention shifted fully to her now. His eyes narrowed, processing the tone, the directness. Men like him didn't like being told no, especially not by women who looked like they belonged on magazine covers instead of bar stools. "Easy there, Red. Just trying to be friendly. We appreciate the offer, but no." Something flickered across his face, anger maybe, or recognition of a challenge. "You got a real attitude, you know that, I've been told." One of his friends, shorter, stockier, with a shaved head and a neck tattoo, leaned in. "Caleb, man, let's just—" "Shut up, Flynn." Caleb's eyes never left Kira. "I'm talking to the lady here." The bar had gone quiet. The bartender, an older guy with gray in his beard, was watching now. Other patrons had turned in their seats. The air had changed texture, gone thick with the possibility of violence. Kira felt her heartbeat slow. It always did this right before things went bad. Her body knew what was coming before her mind caught up. Training, muscle memory. The kind of thing you couldn't unlearn no matter how many months you poured coffee for a living. Caleb. She used his name deliberately, made it personal. I'm asking you nicely, walk away. Or what? He smiled, but there was no humor in it. What are you gonna do, sweetheart? He reached out, fast enough that a civilian wouldn't have reacted in time. Kira's hand snapped up and caught his wrist. The wrist lock was instinctive. Radial nerve pressure. She didn't even apply much force, just enough to stop the forward momentum. Caleb's eyes widened slightly. He'd felt the control in that grip, the precision. Don't touch me, she said quietly. For a second she thought he might be smart, might recognize that he'd miscalculated, might walk away and salvage what was left of his dignity. Then Flynn grabbed a Budweiser bottle from the nearest table. Kira saw the movement in her peripheral vision, tried to turn, but Flynn was already swinging and she was trapped in the booth, and the heavy glass caught her above the right temple with a sound like a mallet hitting wet meat. The world tilted. She felt herself falling, felt the rough wood of the floor against her cheek. Warm liquid ran down the side of her face, blood, the metallic taste of it in her mouth. Voices distorted like someone had wrapped her head in cotton. Stupid bitch! That's what you get. Laughter, male, cruel, Addison screaming, the bartender shouting something about calling the cops. Kira lay still. 3 seconds. 4. 5. Her vision cleared. The training was there underneath everything else. Assessment. 5 targets. 3 in front. Flynn behind and to the left. 1 more hanging back by the bar. Caleb standing over her, still talking, still laughing. Her head throbbed. Something warm and sticky matted her hair. Later she'd learn it was a 2.5-inch laceration that would need 9 stitches. Right now all that mattered was that she could see, could move, could act. Kira surged to her feet. Flynn never saw it coming. She was on him in 2 steps inside his guard before he could process that she was standing. Her elbow drove into his face with the full force of her body weight behind it. Cartilage crunched. Blood exploded from his nose in a spray of red that caught the bar lights. The broken bottle fell from his hand. Kira kicked it away without thinking. Caleb roared something incoherent and charged. Big men always charged. They relied on size, on strength, on the intimidation factor of mass and momentum. They never expected someone 70 pounds lighter to simply not be where they expected. Kira sidestepped. Boxing. The sweet science. Her coach back in basic had been a Golden Gloves finalist. Size don't mean shit if you can't hit what you're swinging at. Caleb's punch whistled past her ear. Her counter was textbook, short, compact, driven up from her hip into his liver, the floating rib region right where the organ sat, unprotected by bone. The shock of impact traveled up her arm. Caleb's eyes went wide. His mouth opened in a silent O. He folded like someone had cut his strings, hitting his knees hard enough that she heard the crack of kneecap on wood. 2 down. The stocky one she'd heard Caleb call him Flynn before he'd tried to cave her skull in was staggering backward. Hands over his face, blood pouring between his fingers. The other 3 were processing. Shock. Confusion. That moment of cognitive dissonance when reality doesn't match expectation. Then they moved. They came together thinking there was safety in numbers. Maybe against someone else there would have been. The first one lunged low, trying to tackle her. Kira pivoted, used his momentum against him. Her hands found his collar and she pulled while stepping aside. Basic judo. He went face first into the bar with a sound like a baseball bat hitting a side of beef. Slumped. Didn't get up. The second tried to grab her from behind, arms wrapping around her waist, lifting. He was strong. It didn't matter. Kira dropped her weight, made herself dead load. Her elbow snapped back once, twice, 3 times into his solar plexus. She felt his grip loosen. Hip throw. She'd done it 10,000 times in training. His body arced over her hip and crashed into a table. Wood splintered. Glass shattered. The third one hesitated. Smart, but not smart enough to walk away. He came in with a wild haymaker. Kira ducked under it, drove a low kick into his knee. Not enough to break it, but enough. The leg buckled. He went down hard, grabbing at the injury, face twisted in pain. 47 seconds. Kira stood in the center of Murphy's Tavern, breathing steady blood running down the side of her face from where the bottle had opened her scalp. Around her, 5 men lay in various states of consciousness and injury. The bar was silent except for Flynn's whimpering and the eagles playing softly from the speakers. Then Caleb moved. He'd gotten to his feet somehow, one hand still pressed to his side where she'd hit him. His face was a mask of rage and pain. His other hand went to his belt. The knife was a K-bar, 7 inches of blackened steel. Military issue. "You crazy bitch," he gasped. "I'll kill you, I'll fucking kill you." The dive came fast, desperate. The knife lead aimed for her midsection. Kira's training overrode thought. Krav Maga, the Israeli combat system designed for one purpose: survival. No sport, no rules, just brutally efficient violence. She stepped inside the arc of the blade. Her left hand trapped his knife arm at the wrist. Her right hand drove into his elbow, hyperextending the joint. The angle was wrong. Everything was wrong. She felt the socket give. Caleb screamed. The knife clattered to the floor. Kira kicked it away, then pivoted behind him. Her arm snaked around his neck. Rear naked choke. Blood choke, not air. Cut off the carotid arteries. 10 seconds to unconsciousness. 15 to brain damage. She knew the timing like she knew her own heartbeat. Caleb thrashed. His good arm clawed at her forearm. His body bucked. It didn't matter. She'd done this to men twice his size. Men trained in counter techniques, men who knew what was coming and still couldn't stop it. 8 seconds. His movements became uncoordinated. 10 seconds. He went limp. Kira released him, let him drop, stepped back. And Flynn, broken nose and all, was somehow getting to his feet behind her. She saw it in the mirror behind the bar, saw him grab a bar stool, raise it overhead, saw the murder in his eyes. Kira spun, no time to think, pure reaction. The spinning back kick was one of the most powerful techniques in martial arts. Hip rotation, full body torque, the heel driven like a piston into the target. She'd practiced it 10,000 times, on bags, on pads, on training partners wearing protective gear, never on someone's spine. Her heel connected with Flynn's mid-thoracic region, the vertebrae between his shoulder blades, T11, T12. She felt the impact travel up her leg, felt something give. Flynn's eyes went wide. The bar stool fell from his hands. He tried to take a step forward. His legs didn't respond. He looked down at them, confusion replacing rage. Tried again, nothing. "I can't." His voice was small suddenly, young. "I can't feel my legs." He collapsed, not falling. More like someone had turned off the power to his lower half. His legs folded wrong, boneless. "I can't feel my legs." Louder now. Panicked. "Oh God, I can't feel my legs." The sound of sirens cut through the silence, growing louder. Multiple vehicles. Kira stood in the center of it all. 5 men down, blood on the floor, blood in her hair, her knuckles scraped and starting to swell. Her head pounding where the bottle had hit. Addison was staring at her from the booth face. Pale hands over her mouth. The bartender had his phone out, pressed to his ear. "Multiple injuries. One says he can't move his legs. You need to send ambulances." And Flynn kept screaming. The first police officer through the door had his hand on his weapon, eyes scanning the chaos. He was followed by 2 more, then 3 more. 6 officers for what looked like a war zone. Sergeant Dutch Keller was 56 years old, 28 years on the force, and a former Marine who'd done 2 tours before the badge. He'd seen bar fights, domestic disputes, gang violence. This was different. "Nobody move!" His voice had that quality that made people obey without thinking. Command presence. "Hands where I can see them." Kira raised her hands slowly. Blood dripped from her fingers. She kept her movements deliberate, non-threatening. Let them see she wasn't armed. Let them process the scene. One of the younger officers was already kneeling beside Flynn, calling for EMS. Another was checking Caleb, still unconscious, on the floor. The others were securing the scene, separating witnesses. Keller's eyes found Kira, took in the blood running down her face, the defensive wounds on her arms, the way she stood balanced ready. "Ma'am, you need to sit down, you're injured." "I'm fine." "You're not fine. You're bleeding from the head." He gestured to a chair. "Sit, now." She sat, not because she was hurt, though she was, because resistance at this point would only complicate things. "Anyone else injured?" Keller scanned the bar. The bartender pointed to Addison. "She was with her. They didn't touch her, but she's shaken up. Get her statement, and someone check the security footage. I want to see what happened." An officer moved to help Flynn, but Flynn was still screaming, still trying to move legs that wouldn't respond. "I can't feel them. Why can't I feel them?" Keller turned back to Kira. "What's your name?" "Kira Brennan." "Miss Brennan, I need you to explain what happened here." "Self-defense sergeant, 5-on-1. He," she nodded toward Flynn, "hit me with a bottle from behind, while his friend, nodding toward Caleb, was threatening me. I defended myself." "Defended yourself?" Keller looked around the bar. 5 men down, property damage, blood everywhere. "Looks like you did more than defend yourself." "They didn't stop, so neither did I," one of the officers called out. "Sarge got multiple witnesses, all saying the same thing. These guys started it. Harassed the women, got physical first. She just reacted." Another officer reviewing the security footage on the bartender's laptop. "Confirmed. Clear assault. Bottle to the head, knife drawn, all on camera." Keller's expression shifted, not quite sympathy, but understanding. "Miss Brennan, you're going to need medical attention. That head wound needs stitches." "After I give my statement." "No, now. Officer Martinez will accompany you to the hospital. You can give your statement there." He paused. "And I'm going to need to see some ID, full information." Kira reached slowly into her jacket pocket, pulled out her wallet, handed over her driver's license, and beneath it the card she carried out of habit more than necessity, her military identification. Keller took both, read the license first, then the military ID. His eyes widened slightly. He read it again. "Lieutenant Kira Brennan." He looked up. "Naval Special Warfare Command." The bar, which had been a low murmur of conversation, went silent. Keller's voice was careful now. "You're a SEAL, former SEAL, honorably discharged 8 months ago." Someone in the crowd whispered. The word spread. "SEAL. She's a SEAL. Woman SEAL. No way. Look at her. Look at what she did." Caleb was conscious now, being helped to sit up by an EMT. His face was the color of old paper. When he heard, his expression cycled through confusion, realization, and finally something close to terror. "You're..." His voice was hoarse. "You're military..." Kira didn't respond. Didn't need to. Flynn was being loaded onto a backboard, his hands trying to reach legs that wouldn't respond to his brain's commands. "Am I going to walk again?" he kept asking. "Someone tell me I'm going to walk again." The paramedic's face said everything. Keller stepped back, spoke quietly into his radio. Then he straightened, faced Kira with a different kind of respect. "Ma'am, these men are being arrested for assault with a deadly weapon, multiple charges, but..." He hesitated. "The one with the spinal injury, that's going to complicate things for you." "He attacked me with a bar stool. I stopped him." "I understand, and the evidence supports that. But he's potentially paralyzed. His family will want answers. There will be lawyers. This isn't over. I want to press full charges, attempted murder." Caleb, being cuffed now, his dislocated elbow bandaged, erupted. "Murder, you're the one who attacked us. You put 5 men in the hospital after you assaulted her with a bottle," Keller said flatly, "while your friend pulled a knife, all on video, multiple witnesses. You're done, Voss." "My uncle," Caleb started. "I don't care who your uncle is. You're going to county and then you're going to court." Keller turned back to Kira. "Go with Officer Martinez. Get stitched up. We'll take your formal statement at the hospital." The ambulances were loading up. Flynn first, still in shock, still asking questions nobody wanted to answer. Then Caleb spitting curses that the officers ignored. The other 3 were being treated for various injuries, all of them headed for the hospital under guard. Kira let Officer Martinez guide her to the patrol car. Addison followed, still pale, still shaking. "Kira," her friend whispered. "What?" What was that? That was me doing what I was trained to do. You never told me. You never said you were. There wasn't a reason to. Murphy's Tavern was a crime scene now. Yellow tape, evidence markers. The news vans were already pulling up, attracted by the scanner traffic. Multiple assault, multiple casualties, military involvement. This was going to be big. At Coronado Hospital, the emergency room doctor was a woman in her 40s who'd clearly seen her share of violence. She examined Kira's head wound with gentle efficiency. 9 stitches, she said. You're lucky. Another inch and this could have fractured your skull. Lucky, right. You also have a mild concussion. I'm recommending observation for 24 hours. I'm fine. You were hit in the head with a bottle. You're not fine. The doctor's eyes were sympathetic. I served. Army, Iraq. I know the type. Walk it off. I'm good. But head injuries don't work that way. You need rest. Kira nodded. Let the doctor work. In the next exam room, she could hear Caleb arguing with officers, demanding his lawyer, threatening lawsuits, invoking his uncle's name like it was a magic spell. Flynn had been taken straight to surgery. Spinal compression fracture. T11, T12. Just like Kira had felt, the prognosis was poor, possibly permanent paralysis from the waist down. She tried to feel something about that. Guilt, regret, found only a cold analytical satisfaction that she'd stopped a threat. He'd tried to kill her with a bar stool. She'd responded appropriately. That's what the training said. That's what the law said. But somewhere deep in a place she didn't like to examine too closely, she wondered if civilian life was ever going to feel normal. If she'd ever be able to walk into a bar and just have a beer without calculating threat vectors and response times. If she'd ever be anything other than what the Navy had made her. Sergeant Keller arrived while the doctor was finishing the stitches. He looked at Kira differently now, not with suspicion, with something closer to respect tinged with concern. Miss Brennan, I need your statement. Are you able? Yes. Good, because this is going to be bigger than you think. He was right. By morning, the story had broken locally. Female Navy SEAL defends herself in bar brawl. The video grainy security footage had been leaked. It showed everything. The harassment, the bottle, the fight. 47 seconds of violence that was already going viral. The comments section was predictably divided, half calling her a hero, half calling her a trained killer who'd used excessive force. Military communities were defending her. Progressive groups were celebrating her. Conservative groups were arguing both sides. Flynn Murdoch's family issued a statement. Their son was paralyzed, possibly for life. They wanted justice. They wanted answers. Caleb Voss's lawyer appeared on local news, called it unprovoked violence, called Kira unstable, demanded she be charged with assault and attempted murder. The district attorney's office announced they were reviewing the case. And through it all, Kira's phone buzzed with calls she didn't answer. Messages she didn't read, until one came through at 2 a.m. that made her pick up. Private number. She answered. Brennan. Ghost. That voice, gravelly, strong, carrying the weight of 76 years and enough combat experience to fill 3 lifetimes. Grandpa. Colonel Thornton Thunder Brennan, United States Army, retired. Green Beret, 3 wars, Grenada, Panama, Gulf War. The man who'd raised her after her father died. The man who'd taught her to shoot, to fight, to survive. The man who'd held her when she cried about her father and told her stories about Captain Garrett Brennan until the pain dulled enough to breathe. Saw the news, he said. Whole damn country saw it. It was self-defense. I know it was. I saw the footage. You handled it exactly right. A pause. Your father would be proud. Her throat tightened. Would he? Put 5 men down in less than a minute. Survived a bottle attack and a knife attack. Didn't kill anyone when you could have. Yeah, he'd be proud. Another pause. But he'd also be worried. Because this won't end at that bar, Kira. Men like that don't forget. What do you mean? Caleb Voss. I know that name. Something in his tone made her sit up straighter, ignoring the throb in her head. How? His father, Silas Voss, dishonorable discharge 1989, Panama, Operation Just Cause. I was there, I helped catch him. Catch him doing what? Selling equipment, weapons, ammunition, selling to the cartels while we were supposed to be fighting them. Your father was part of the investigation. He testified at the court-martial. Kira's blood went cold. Dad was involved, led the investigation. Silas Voss went to prison for 3 years, lost his pension, lost everything. He swore revenge, said the Brennans had destroyed him. Thornton's voice went harder. But your father died in Desert Storm before Silas could do anything about it. And now you're here and you just humiliated his son on national television. Put him in a hospital. If Silas is anything like he was, you might have a problem. What kind of problem? The kind that comes after you. The kind that doesn't stop. A long breath. Silas works for a PMC now. Ironclad Tactical. They're mercenaries, bad ones, soldiers who got drummed out for various reasons. They take contracts that legitimate outfits won't touch. You think he'll retaliate? I think you need to be careful. Watch your six, vary your routes, don't establish patterns. Thornton paused. And if anything happens, anything, you call me, immediately. Understand? I'm not a kid anymore, Grandpa. No, you're a warrior, like your father, like me. But even warriors need backup sometimes, promise me. She closed her eyes, saw her father's face from old photographs. Captain Garrett Brennan in his dress uniform smiling at the camera holding baby Kira. 6 months before Desert Storm. 6 months before an ambush on Highway 80 turned him into a name on a memorial wall. I promise. Good. Now get some rest. And Kira. Yeah. You did good tonight. Don't let anyone tell you different. The line went dead. Kira sat in the dark hospital room, phone in her hand. Stitches pulling at her scalp. Outside Coronado went about its evening. Cars passed. People laughed. Life continued. But something had shifted. She felt it in her bones. In that place where instinct lived. This wasn't over. Not by a long shot. 3 days later, the legal complications began. The coffee at the police station tasted like burnt rubber and regret. Kira sat in the interview room for the 3rd time in as many days, watching Sergeant Dutch Keller review paperwork that seemed to multiply every time she blinked. Nathaniel Cross, Keller said, sliding a business card across the table. Embossed lettering, expensive stock. He's representing Caleb Voss, high-profile defense attorney out of San Diego, $300 an hour minimum. Kira picked up the card, turned it over. Caleb works construction, part-time. How's he affording this? That's what I'd like to know. Keller leaned back in his chair. It creaked under his weight. Flynn Murdoch's medical bills are being paid too. All of them. $250,000 so far and climbing. Hospital confirmed payment in full. Anonymous benefactor. Someone's bankrolling them. Yeah, and that someone has deep pockets and a vested interest in making you look bad. Keller pulled up a news article on his laptop, turned it so she could see. This ran this morning. The headline made her jaw tighten. Excessive force, former SEAL under fire for brutal bar attack. Below it, a photo of Caleb in a neck brace, arm in a sling, looking appropriately victimized. The article quoted Nathaniel Cross extensively. Words like disproportionate response and trained killer and civilian population at risk. They're building a narrative, Kira said. Effective one, too. District Attorney's Office is getting pressure. Calls demanding you be charged. Letters, emails. Someone's organizing a campaign. Keller closed the laptop. Your self-defense claim is solid. I've reviewed the footage a dozen times, but public opinion. That's harder to control. The door opened. A woman entered, early 40s, dark suit, briefcase in hand. She moved with the kind of confidence that came from winning more than losing. Jennifer Torres, she said, extending her hand. Former JAG officer, Commander Wade Holbrook, retained me on your behalf. Kira shook her hand. I didn't ask for a lawyer. You need one anyway. Torres set her briefcase on the table, extracted a folder thick with documents. The Voss family is preparing to file a civil suit. assault, battery, intentional infliction of emotional distress. They're asking for $5 million in damages. $5 million. Flynn Murdoch's family is considering similar action. Between the two cases, you're looking at potential liability in the 8-figure range. Torres opened the folder. Now we have excellent defenses. Self-defense is clear. Video evidence is overwhelming. But lawsuits aren't about truth. They're about pressure. They want you to settle, pay them to go away, admit fault. That's not happening. Good, because I don't settle cases we can win. Torres pulled out another document. But there's something else you should know. Judge Robert Hutchins has been assigned to the preliminary hearing. Keller swore under his breath. Who's Judge Hutchins? Kira asked. Caleb's uncle, Torres said. Mother's brother. Sitting judge for San Diego County Superior Court. 20 years on the bench. And he's already making noise about recusal being unnecessary since this is just a preliminary matter. That's a conflict of interest. It is. I'm filing a motion to remove him, but it'll take time. Meanwhile, he's the one deciding whether charges move forward. Torres met Kira's eyes. Someone is orchestrating this. The expensive lawyer, the medical bills, the media campaign, the judge assignment. This is coordinated. Before Kira could respond, her phone buzzed. Commander Wade Holbrook. She answered. Kira, where are you? Police station with my new lawyer. Good, stay there. I'm 10 minutes out. We need to talk, now. He disconnected. Kira looked at Torres, then Keller. Both wore expressions that said they'd been expecting this. What's going on? Keller stood. I'll give you the room. But Miss Brennan, whatever Commander Holbrook tells you, remember you've got good people on your side. Don't do anything stupid. He left. Torres stayed. 9 minutes later, Wade Holbrook walked through the door. He was 61 years old, lean as cable steel, with iron gray hair and eyes that had seen things in dark places most people couldn't imagine. He'd been Kira's commanding officer for 4 years at SEAL Team 3, the best leader she'd ever served under. Hard but fair, demanding but loyal. He nodded to Torres. Counselor, thank you for taking this case. You're paying well enough. But she said it with a slight smile. Holbrook turned to Kira. How are you holding up? 9 stitches, mild concussion, impending bankruptcy from lawsuits, could be worse. It's about to be. He sat down heavily, suddenly looking every one of his 61 years. Kira, what I'm about to tell you stays in this room. Understood? Yes, sir. Ironclad Tactical. You heard of them. Grandpa mentioned them. PMC outfit. Silas Voss works for them. Runs their West Coast operations, Holbrook corrected. They have contracts at 3 naval bases. San Diego, Coronado, Point Loma. Security consulting, they call it. But I've been hearing things. Equipment going missing, small amounts, ammunition, small arms, nothing huge but consistent, 2 years of steady losses. Torres was taking notes. NCIS investigating. They've tried. Keep hitting walls. Someone high up is blocking them. Evidence disappears. Witnesses recant. It's sophisticated. Holbrook leaned forward. I still have contacts. People who trust me. They've been feeding me information, and here's what they're telling me. Silas Voss has access to all 3 bases. His security clearance is active, and the theft patterns align perfectly with his work schedule. Kira felt the pieces clicking into place. He's stealing military equipment. We think so, but we can't prove it. Not yet. Holbrook pulled out his phone, showed her a photo. Caleb Voss meeting with 3 men in tactical gear outside a warehouse. This was taken 4 days ago, day before your bar incident. Who are the other men? Don't know, but the warehouse is registered to a shell company. Shell company traces back to another company. That one traces to Ironclad Tactical. Holbrook swiped to another photo. This one's more interesting. Silas Voss. Older, harder, standing with a man in his late 40s, expensive suit, cold eyes. Who's that? Draven Kruger, Ironclad's CEO, former Delta Force, dishonorably discharged in 2009 for unauthorized operations in Yemen. Killed 6 civilians. Called it collateral damage. Army called it murder. He avoided prison through a technicality and started Ironclad 6 months later. Torres had stopped writing. You're saying Kira stumbled into an ongoing federal investigation. I'm saying she might be part of it now, whether she wants to be or not. Holbrook looked at Kira directly. Your bar fight, I don't think it was random. I think Caleb was sent. Sent to do what? Get his ass kicked on camera. Sent to provoke you, test you, see if Captain Garrett Brennan's daughter still had her edge. Holbrook's voice softened. Your father led the investigation that destroyed Silas Voss's career. That's not something men like Silas forget. And if they knew you were in town, vulnerable civilian, they wanted to see what I'd do. Maybe. Or they wanted to discredit you, make you look unstable, violent, so if you started asking questions about your father's old cases, no one would take you seriously. Kira sat back. The stitches in her scalp pulled. Her head throbbed. This is insane. This is military contracting, Holbrook said. Billions of dollars, no oversight, men with combat training and no moral compass. It's a perfect storm. He paused. And now they know you're paying attention, which means things are going to escalate. Escalate how? Holbrook's meeting lasted 90 minutes. By the time Kira left the police station, the afternoon sun was slanting low over Coronado. Kira was driving back to her apartment, taking surface streets, varying her route like her grandfather had taught her. The sun was setting over Coronado, painting the sky in shades of orange and purple that should have been beautiful but just felt ominous. Her phone rang. Addison. Kira! Her friend's voice was shaking. Kira, I need help. What's wrong? There were men at my apartment, 2 of them. They knocked on my door, and when I answered, they pushed inside and... Are you hurt, Addison? Are you hurt? No, they didn't touch me, but they said to tell you to drop the charges. They said if you keep pushing, next time won't be a conversation. Her voice broke. Kira, they left photos of us at the bar and pictures of your apartment building. Close-ups of your door, your car. They've been watching us. Cold fury settled into Kira's chest, the kind that came before violence, the kind that meant someone had made a very serious mistake. Where are you now? Still at my apartment. I called the police, but pack a bag. Essentials only. You have family in Oregon, right? Your sister? Yes, but call her. Tell her you're coming tonight, right now. Book a flight. I'll pay for it. Kira, what's happening? Something I should have seen coming. Just go, please. Stay with your sister until this is over. What about you? I can handle myself. You know that now. A pause, then quietly, yeah, I do. Be careful. Always am. She disconnected and immediately called Holbrook. He answered on the first ring. They went after Addison. Shit. Is she okay? Scared, threatened. They left surveillance photos, witness intimidation. Kira's knuckles were white on the steering wheel. This is federal now, right? FBI jurisdiction. Should be. I'll make some calls, but Kira, listen to me. You need to stand down. Let the professionals handle this. The professionals have been handling it for 2 years and gotten nowhere. That's not your problem. It became my problem when they threatened my friend. She pulled into her apartment complex, scanning the parking lot automatically. No suspicious vehicles, no watchers that she could see, but they'd proven they could be subtle when they wanted to be. Don't do anything stupid, Holbrook said. Define stupid. Kira. I'm going to see my grandfather, Montana, few days away from this mess. Clear my head. That acceptable? A long pause. Actually, that's not a bad idea. Get you out of their crosshairs. Let things cool down. Exactly what I was thinking. She was lying. He probably knew it, but he let it slide. Call me when you get there, and Kira, watch your 6. Always do, sir. But she didn't go to Montana, not immediately. Instead, she drove to a storage unit in National City, one she'd rented when she left the Navy. Inside were boxes of her life. Uniforms she'd never wear again. Medals she'd earned but never displayed. Equipment she'd been allowed to keep. And some equipment she hadn't been allowed to keep but had anyway. The Sig Sauer P226 had been her sidearm for 7 years. Officially, she'd turned it in when she separated. Unofficially, she'd swapped serial numbers with a decommissioned trainer weapon and kept the one that had saved her life in 6 countries she couldn't name. She checked the magazine. 15 rounds of 9mm hollow points, plus 1 in the chamber. 16 rounds total. Probably wouldn't need it. Probably. She also grabbed her tactical vest, Kevlar inserts, magazine pouches. The kind of thing that looked ridiculous in civilian life but might save you in situations where civilian life had stopped applying. Her phone rang again. Unknown number. She answered. Brennan. Miss Brennan. My name is Draven Kruger. The voice was smooth, cultured, the kind of voice that belonged in boardrooms, not battlefields. I know who you are. Good. That saves time. I'm calling to extend an invitation. I'd like to meet with you. Discuss an opportunity. Not interested. You haven't heard the opportunity yet. Don't need to. I know what you are. What you do. The answer is no. A pause. Then, I think you're under some misapprehensions about Ironclad Tactical. We're a legitimate security contractor. What happened with Caleb, that was unfortunate. A misunderstanding that got out of hand. He attacked me with a bottle. His friend pulled a knife. That's not a misunderstanding. Caleb has issues, anger management. We've since terminated his association with our organization. Kruger's voice remained smooth, but his poor judgment doesn't reflect on Ironclad as a whole. We employ hundreds of qualified professionals, former military, men and women who understand the value of discipline and training. And you're telling me this why? Because we've been impressed with your service record. SEAL Team 3, 7 years, commendations. Your skills are considerable, as you demonstrated at Murphy's Tavern. He paused. We're always looking for elite operators. Your background, your lineage. Captain Garrett Brennan's daughter, Colonel Thornton Brennan's granddaughter. That kind of pedigree is rare. My father would roll over in his grave if I worked for mercenaries. Your father served politicians who sent him to die in a desert. We offer something more honest, purpose without bureaucracy, compensation that reflects your value. $300,000 annually plus performance bonuses, full benefits, contracts worldwide. The answer is still no. Miss Brennan, what happened with Caleb was regrettable. Let me make it right. Meet with me, tomorrow, 2 p.m. Our facility at 2847 Harbor Drive. Hear me out. If you still want to walk away after that, no hard feelings, but at least give me the chance to correct your misconceptions. Every instinct screamed trap, but traps only worked if you didn't see them coming. I'll think about it. That's all I ask. Tomorrow, 2 p.m. Come alone. This is a conversation, not a confrontation. He disconnected. Kira stared at her phone, thought about calling Holbrook, thought about calling her grandfather, thought about doing the smart thing and staying far away from Draven Kruger and his mercenary operation. Instead, she sent a text to Holbrook. Got a job offer from Ironclad, meeting tomorrow 1400, might be worth wiring me up. The response came in seconds. Absolutely not. Too dangerous. She typed back. They threatened Addison. They're watching me. Either I go proactive or I wait for them to come after me again. Your choice. 3 minutes passed. Then FBI contact agent Elena Vasquez. I'll set it up. But this is against my better judgment. Noted. She drove home, parked in her usual spot, and climbed the stairs to her second-floor apartment. The door was intact, no signs of forced entry. She cleared the apartment anyway, room by room, closets behind shower curtain, under the bed empty, but sitting on her kitchen counter where it definitely hadn't been this morning was a single photograph. Her and Addison at Murphy's Tavern, taken from outside through the window, taken before the fight, before everything went wrong, and circled in red marker Kira's face. She picked it up carefully. No note, just the photo and the implicit message. We know where you are. We know what you look like. We can get to you whenever we want. Her phone rang. Private number. Grandpa. Got a bad feeling, Thornton said without preamble. You okay? Someone broke into my apartment, left a photo. Silence. Then pack a bag. Right now. You're coming here. Can't. I have a meeting tomorrow. With who? Draven Kruger. More silence. Longer this time. When Thornton spoke again, his voice had gone cold. the voice he used for operational planning, for violence. "Tell me everything." She did. The lawyer, the medical bills, the investigation, the job offer, Addison's threat, all of it. When she finished, Thornton said, "I'm flying down tonight. Don't argue. You need backup and I'm it. You're 76 years old, and I've forgotten more about tactics than these PMC assholes ever learned. I'll be there by 0600. We'll plan this right, together, like your father and I used to." Something in her chest loosened. Okay. Now get out of that apartment. Go somewhere public. Stay there until I arrive. And Kira, yeah, load your weapon. Keep it close. Trust your training. Copy that. She packed quickly, essentials only, grabbed her Sig Sauer and 2 spare magazines, left the apartment and drove to a 24-hour diner in downtown San Diego. Sat in a back booth with her back to the wall and her weapon within reach and waited. The night stretched. Coffee refills every hour, pancakes she didn't eat. The waitress gave her concerned looks but didn't ask questions. Maybe she recognized the look, the soldier look, the 1,000-yard stare that came from seeing too much and sleeping too little. At 5:45 a.m., a rental car pulled into the parking lot, a Toyota Camry completely unremarkable. The driver's door opened. Colonel Thornton Brennan climbed out. He was 76 years old but moved like a man 20 years younger. 6 feet tall, lean muscle wrapped in weathered skin. His hair was steel gray, buzzed military short. His eyes were the same green as Kira's, sharp and assessing. He wore jeans, a flannel shirt, and boots that had seen 1,000 miles. Kira met him at the door. He pulled her into a hug that smelled like Montana pine and gun oil and safety. "You look like hell," he said. 9 stitches will do that." He pulled back, examined the wound on her scalp, touched it gently with calloused fingers. "Clean work. Should heal fine. Scar will be hidden by your hair." That's what the doctor said. Smart doctor. He grabbed his duffel bag from the car. "You eat." "Not hungry." "Eat anyway. Going to be a long day." They sat in the booth. Thornton ordered steak and eggs. Kira forced down toast. He watched her with those sharp eyes, reading her the way he'd always been able to. "Your father used to do that," he said. "Before missions. Couldn't eat. Stomach in knots. Had to force it down." Did it help? Not really, but it kept him functional. That's all that matters. He cut into his steak. "Now, tell me the plan. Meet with Kruger, wear a wire, get him talking, see if he admits to anything useful. And if it goes sideways, FBI backup. Holbrook's team standing by. I'll be fine." Thornton shook his head. "Never go into a potential hostile situation assuming you'll be fine. Murphy's Law. What can go wrong will go wrong, so we plan for when, not if." He pulled out a notebook. Old school, paper and pencil, started sketching. Harbor Drive. Industrial area. Ironclad's facility is a converted warehouse. 2 entrances that we know of. Probably more we don't. They'll have security, cameras, armed personnel. He tapped the pencil on the paper. "You go in alone, wired, that's fine for the legal side. But tactically, you're exposed. What do you suggest? We set up Overwatch. Me, Holbrook, whoever else we can trust, long guns, good sight lines. You go in, we're watching. Anything goes wrong, we're ready." "The FBI won't authorize that." "I'm not asking the FBI." He looked up. "This is a Brennan operation now, you and me, just like your father and I used to run. Official channels can catch up later." Kira felt a smile tug at her lips despite everything. "That's probably illegal. Only if we get caught, and we won't, because we're better than they are." He went back to sketching. "Now, let's talk equipment." They spent the next hour planning. Entry routes, extraction points, communications protocols. Thornton pulled gear from his duffel, a scoped rifle she recognized from his Montana ranch. Remington 700, 30-06, the same rifle he'd taught her to shoot with when she was 12. "You brought that on a plane?" she asked. "Drove. Left Montana at 1900 yesterday, 16 hours straight." He smiled. "Used to do 18-hour marches with a full ruck. This was nothing." At 7 a.m., Commander Holbrook arrived. With him were two men Kira recognized from the SEAL community. Rourke Doc O'Brien, 59, Irish descent, red hair going silver, former SEAL medic, now worked as a private investigator in San Diego. He'd saved Kira's life once in Afghanistan when a VBIED had torn through their convoy. She still had the scar. Sullivan Bear McIntyre. 62, Scottish heritage, built like his call sign suggested, former SEAL intelligence specialist, now did security consulting. He'd taught Kira half of what she knew about surveillance and counter-surveillance. "Heard you got into some trouble," Doc said, examining her stitches with a professional eye. "Nice work. Clean sutures. Should heal without complication." "That's what everyone keeps saying." "Because it's true." He produced a medical kit from his bag. "But let me check your concussion. Been having headaches, nausea, vision problems." "Just headaches." He ran her through a quick neurological exam. Pupil response, balance, coordination. Nodded satisfied. "You're good, but take it easy. Another blow to the head soon and you're looking at serious TBI." "I'll keep that in mind." Bear had his laptop open showing satellite imagery of Harbor Drive. Ironclad facility, single-story warehouse, approximately 15,000 square feet, 2 official entrances, loading dock on the east side. But see this. He zoomed in on the roof. Ventilation system, emergency exit, and if we're lucky a way in that doesn't involve the front door. Thornton studied the images. "Good work. What about security?" "Cameras on all corners, motion sensors on the perimeter. Armed guards, I count 6 on the day shift, probably more inside." Bear pulled up another screen. "Here's the interesting part. Their security system runs through a company called SecureNet. I know a guy who knows a guy. We might be able to get access to their camera feeds." "Can you do it by 1400? "Already working on it." Holbrook sat down across from Thornton. 2 old warriors, career soldiers, men who'd seen combat in places that didn't officially exist. They sized each other up, then nodded. Mutual respect. "Colonel, thanks for coming. Wade, thanks for looking after my granddaughter. She doesn't need much looking after, as 5 men in the hospital can attest." Holbrook turned to Kira. "FBI is on board. Agent Vasquez will wire you up. But she wants assurances you're not walking into a trap." "Can't give her those." "That's what I told her. She said to tell you that if shooting starts, bureau policy is to hold position and wait for backup. Estimated response time is 8 minutes. Kira and Thornton exchanged glances. 8 minutes is a lifetime in a firefight, Thornton said. "Which is why we'll be there," Holbrook replied. "Off the books. Deniable. If this goes public, I never had this conversation." "Understood." Agent Elena Vasquez arrived at 9 a.m. She was 46 years old, FBI Organized Crime Division, 20 years with the Bureau. She'd seen every kind of criminal enterprise, from cartels to corrupt politicians. Her expression said she didn't like this operation but understood its necessity. "Miss Brennan, I'm going to wire you. Standard FBI equipment. It'll pick up everything within 20 feet, video and audio, but if they scan you, they'll find it." "They'll scan me," Kira said. "Probably, which is why we're using this." Vasquez held up what looked like a simple silver necklace. Camera and microphone embedded in the pendant, hardened against basic RF detection. Not perfect, but better than a traditional wire. "What's the range?" "Half-mile in optimal conditions. Less in the warehouse. We'll have a receiver van within 2 blocks. Vasquez fastened the necklace around Kira's throat. "It's also a tracker. GPS accurate to 3 meters. We'll know where you are at all times." "Comforting." "It should be, because if things go bad, that's how we'll find you." Vasquez stepped back. "Now, rules of engagement. You're a civilian. You have no arrest authority. You're there to talk, to listen, and to get out. You are not, I repeat, not authorized to take any law enforcement action. Clear fui crystal." "I'm serious, Miss Brennan. This operation is evidence gathering only. If Kruger admits to criminal activity, we'll use that to get warrants. But you don't engage. You don't provoke. You don't give them reason to escalate. Understand?" "I understand." Vasquez didn't look convinced, but she nodded. "Good luck. And Miss Brennan, don't be a hero. Heroes get killed." After she left, Thornton handed Kira her Sig Sauer. "Wear it. Concealed, right hip inside waistband. They'll probably make you surrender it at the door. Do it without argument, but having it until then might save your life. She holstered the weapon, checked that her shirt covered it. What about you? I'll be on Overwatch. The old grain silo quarter-mile northeast of their facility, 700 meters, easy shot with the Remington. He met her eyes. Anything happens, I'm putting rounds through their windows. Legal consequences be damned. Grandpa, I lost your father, I'm not losing you too. His voice was steel, final. This is non-negotiable. Kira nodded, felt her throat tighten. Doc spoke up. I'll be mobile. Medical kit, trauma supplies. If you're hurt, I can get to you in under 3 minutes. I'll be on Signals Intelligence, Bear added. Running their security feeds, monitoring communications. You'll have an earpiece. I'll talk you through what I'm seeing. Holbrook checked his watch. It's 1100, we've got 3 hours, everyone grab lunch, get your heads right, 1400 we roll. They dispersed. Kira found herself alone with her grandfather in the parking lot. The morning sun was bright and warm. Normal people were going about normal days. Somewhere someone was drinking coffee and worrying about mortgage payments and whether their kid's soccer game would be rained out. Kira was about to walk into a meeting with mercenaries who might want her dead. Scared? Thornton asked. Terrified. Good. Fear keeps you sharp. Your father called me the night before his last mission, said he was afraid, not of dying, of not being good enough, of failing his men. Thornton's eyes were distant. I told him something I'm going to tell you now. You listening? Yes, sir. Courage isn't the absence of fear. It's doing what's right even when you're afraid. Every time I went into combat, I was scared. Grenada, Panama, Desert Storm, every single time I thought I might not make it home. But I went anyway, because that's what warriors do, not because we're fearless, because we're more afraid of not doing our duty than we are of dying. He put his hand on her shoulder, squeezed. You're Garrett Brennan's daughter. You're my granddaughter. You're a SEAL. You're trained for this. Trust that training. Trust your instincts and trust that I've got your back, always. Kira felt tears prick her eyes, pushed them down. What if I mess this up? You won't. And even if you do, we adapt. We overcome. We survive. That's the Brennan way. He smiled. Now come on. Let's go over the plan one more time. Details save lives. At 13:30, they loaded up. 3 vehicles, Holbrook and Thornton in the first, Doc in the second, Bear and Kira in the third. They drove separately, arrived from different directions, set up position. Thornton climbed 7 flights of stairs to the roof of the abandoned grain silo. Set up his rifle, prone position, bipod deployed, scope zeroed. He had a perfect view of Ironclad's front entrance, 712 meters. He could put a round through a bottle cap at that distance. Doc parked his van 2 blocks away, engine running, medical supplies laid out, trauma kit, blood, IV fluids. He'd worked forward operating bases in Iraq. He knew how to keep people alive when they shouldn't be. Bear had cracked Ironclad's security system. 42 cameras feeding to his laptop. He watched Kira approach, on-screen monitoring heat signatures, counting personnel. Ghost, this is Bear. Radio check. Kira touched the tiny earpiece. Flesh-colored. Invisible unless you were looking for it. Lima Charlie. Copy. 16 personnel inside the facility. 6 armed security, 10 administrative. No sign of Kruger yet. Copy. You're clear to approach. Good luck. Kira walked across the parking lot. Harbor Drive at 1400 hours, industrial area, empty. Her footsteps echoed. The front entrance was reinforced glass and steel. 2 guards flanked it. Both ex-military by their bearing, both armed with holstered Glock 17s. She stopped 10 feet out, raised her hands slightly, non-threatening. Kira Brennan, I have an appointment with Mr. Kruger. The left guard spoke into his radio, listened, nodded. Proceed, you'll be screened at the door. She walked forward. Metal detector. Physical pat-down. The female security officer found the Sig Sauer immediately. I'll need to confiscate this. Understood. The weapon was secured in a lockbox. The officer continued the search. Found nothing else. The necklace Vasquez had given her passed inspection. You're clear. Follow me. They led her through corridors that smelled like gun oil and testosterone. Past offices where men in tactical gear studied maps. past a shooting range where someone was running drills. This was a professional operation, well-funded, well-organized, dangerous. The conference room was on the second floor, large, windows overlooking the warehouse floor, a mahogany table that probably cost more than Kira made in a year at the coffee shop. And sitting at the head of that table, Draven Kruger. He stood when she entered, 6'2", lean muscle, gray at the temples, cold gray eyes that assessed her like a weapon system. "Miss Brennan, thank you for coming. Please sit." She sat, kept her hands visible, maintained eye contact, standing behind Kruger Silas Voss, 52 years old, harder than his son, military bearing that hadn't faded despite the dishonorable discharge. His eyes locked on Kira with something cold and calculating. "You know my associate," Kruger said. "I know who he is." "Good, that saves introductions." Kruger sat, folded his hands on the table. "Let's cut to the chase. Your father destroyed Silas's career. That was a long time ago. Water under the bridge, but it means you and I have history even if we've never met. My father did his job. Your associate betrayed his country." Silas's jaw tightened. Kruger held up a hand. "The past is the past. What matters is the present, and the present is this: you're talented. Your record speaks for itself. SEAL Team 3, 7 years, multiple commendations, the kind of operator we need." "For what?" "Security work, asset protection, risk mitigation. We have contracts worldwide. Good money. Better than you're making pouring coffee. And Caleb was attacking me part of the interview process." Kruger's expression didn't change. "Caleb was a mistake. He was supposed to gauge your reaction to stress, see if you still had your edge. He wasn't supposed to get physical. That was his poor judgment, not mine." In her ear, Bear's voice. "Kira recording this. Keep him talking." "So you sent him to provoke me?" "I sent him to observe you. He exceeded his mandate, for which I've disciplined him." "You mean you're paying his legal bills and bankrolling his lawsuit against me?" "I'm protecting my assets. Caleb may have made mistakes, but he's still valuable. As are you." Kruger leaned forward. "Here's what I'm proposing. You drop the charges against Caleb. I make the civil suits disappear. You come work for Ironclad. $300,000 a year. Full benefits. You get to use your training for something meaningful instead of wasting away in civilian life. Everyone wins. Except for Flynn Murdoch, who's paralyzed. Unfortunate. But he attacked you with a weapon. You defended yourself. These things happen." Kruger's voice was smooth, reasonable, like he was discussing quarterly earnings instead of permanent disability. "The point is, we can all move forward. Let the past be the past." Kira met his eyes. No, I'm not interested in working for mercenaries who steal from the military and sell weapons to terrorists." The room went very quiet. Silas's hand moved toward his waistband, stopped at a look from Kruger. "That's a serious accusation," Kruger said softly. "It's the truth. Naval Base San Diego, equipment going missing for 2 years, small arms, ammunition, explosives. Silas has access. The timing matches his work schedule. You're running a smuggling operation using government contracts as cover." Kruger sat back. Studied her. "You're wired." It wasn't a question. "Yes." "Bold. I admire that." He smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes. "You know the problem with wires, they only matter if you leave here alive to testify." 4 contractors entered the room, all armed, all professional. Kira didn't move. "FBI knows I'm here. Anything happens to me, they'll burn this place to the ground." "Maybe, but that won't help you much, will it?" Kruger stood. "Here's what's actually happening, Miss Brennan. You've been investigating us. Fair enough. We've been investigating you. Colonel Thornton Brennan, your grandfather. Green Beret legend. We know he's in San Diego. We know he's working with you. We know—" An explosion rocked the building, distant but massive. The windows rattled, alarms started wailing, everyone froze. Kruger grabbed his phone, answered, listened, his face went pale. "Naval Base San Diego," he said quietly. "Multiple explosions, weapons depot, reports of casualties." In Kira's ear, Bear's voice urgent. "Kira Base is under attack, massive explosions, get out of there." Kruger looked at Kira. Did your people do this? No. For the first time since she'd entered, she saw genuine emotion in his face. Fear. The alarm screamed like wounded animals. Through the conference room windows, Kira could see smoke rising from Naval Base San Diego, thick black columns that stained the pristine October sky. 2 miles away, but close enough that the acrid smell was already drifting through the ventilation system. Draven Kruger's phone erupted with calls. He answered one, barked orders, disconnected. His composure had cracked. The smooth corporate veneer stripped away to reveal something harder underneath. Status report, he snapped at Silas. The older man had his own phone out, scrolling through messages with increasing urgency. Multiple explosions, weapons depot, initial reports say 12 dead, 30 wounded, numbers climbing. He looked up. Someone's claiming responsibility, group calling themselves Desert Justice. Kruger went absolutely still. That's impossible. In Kira's ear, Bear's voice crackled. Desert Justice confirmed! Iraqi terrorist cell, former Republican Guard. They're broadcasting on encrypted channels celebrating the attack. Kira watched Kruger's face, watched the calculation happening behind those cold eyes. You know them. Everyone in this business knows them, Kruger said carefully. They've been trying to hit U.S. targets for 20 years, but they don't have the resources, the intelligence, the access. He stopped, looked at Silas. Where's Caleb? Silas's face drained of color. He was supposed to be here, for a debrief on the legal situation. Call him, now. Silas dialed. It rang and rang, went to voicemail. He's not answering. Kruger turned to one of the contractors. Check the inventory, everything, weapons, explosives, equipment, full audit, 5 minutes. The man practically ran from the room. Kira pieced it together. Caleb's your mole. Shut up, Silas snarled. He had access to your operation, your smuggling routes, your contacts. He's been feeding intelligence to Desert Justice, using your own network against you. She watched Silas's face confirm it. How long? Kruger's jaw worked. He was processing, recalculating. Miss Brennan, I think we need to table our previous discussion. We have a common enemy now. Do we? Desert Justice just killed a dozen American sailors. If Caleb is working with them using ironclad resources, he straightened. That makes this a national security threat, which means we're on the same side. We are absolutely not on the same side. The contractor burst back in. Sir, half the pre-positioned inventory is gone. C4, date cord, blasting caps, small arms, ammunition. His voice shook. Someone with access codes cleared it out yesterday, while we were all focused on the legal situation. Kruger's fist slammed into the mahogany table. God damn it! God damn it! Silas stood there frozen. My son is a terrorist. Your son is a traitor, Kruger corrected viciously. He used our operation to arm the people who just bombed a naval base, which means we're all going to federal prison unless we fix this, fast. Through the chaos, through the shouting, Kira's tactical mind was already working. The equipment. Where was it stored? Port of San Diego, warehouse facility. We use it for... Kruger stopped, looked at her. For legitimate cargo staging. Illegal weapons smuggling, Kira corrected. But that's not important right now. If Caleb took the equipment, where would he move it? Kruger thought. A ship. Has to be. Get it out of U.S. waters. It's gone forever. Mexico, South America, Middle East. What ships are scheduled out of the port today? Bear's voice in her ear. Already on it. Pulling manifest now. One of Kruger's men had a laptop open, fingers flying. 3 cargo vessels departing today. 2 container ships, 1 mid-size freighter. The freighter is registered to... He stopped. To a shell company we've used before. SS Meridian, scheduled departure 1700 hours. Kira checked her watch, 15:20. Less than 2 hours. If he's loading equipment onto that ship, Kruger ran calculations. The explosives alone could level city blocks. The small arms could equip a small army. In Kira's ear, Ghost, this is Colonel. I'm hearing all this. We need to move. Now. She spoke quietly, knowing the wire would pick it up even as she addressed Kruger. I need my weapon back. Why? Because I'm going to that port. I'm going to stop that ship, and I'm going to arrest Caleb Voss and anyone working with him. You're a civilian. You have no authority. Then call the FBI, call NCIS, call whoever you want, but that ship cannot leave U.S. waters. You know that. I know that, so either help me or get out of my way. Kruger studied her, warrior to warrior. Then he nodded to one of his contractors. Give her the weapon, and mobilize our response team. Full tactical gear. We're going to the port. Agent Vasquez's voice crackled through the earpiece. Negative, Miss Brennan, you are not authorized for tactical operations. Stand down and wait for FBI response. Kira touched her ear. Agent Vasquez estimated FBI response time. A pause. 12 to 15 minutes to mobilize, another 10 to reach the port, call it 25 minutes minimum. The ship leaves in 90 minutes, we don't have 25 minutes. Kira looked at Kruger. You've got trained operators here. I need 8 of them, best you have. This is insane. This is necessary. She moved toward the door. You coming or not? Thornton's voice. Ghost, I'm moving to support position. Doc's en route to the port, Bears coordinating with FBI. We've got your back. Holbrook. Kira, this is way outside the mission parameters. The mission just changed, Commander. We adapt or people die. She felt it then. The shift. The thing that happened when training overrode thought. When the civilian Kira Brennan fell away and Lieutenant Kira Brennan, SEAL Team 3, took over. Muscle memory, operational protocol, the cold clarity that came before violence. They mobilized in 8 minutes. Kruger's response team was professional. 8 contractors, all former special operations, Delta, Rangers, SEALs, men who'd done this before in deserts and jungles and urban hellscapes halfway around the world. They loaded into 2 vehicles, black Suburbans with run-flat tires and armored panels. Kira rode in the lead vehicle with Kruger and 3 operators. Silas was in the second vehicle, gray-faced, aged 10 years in 10 minutes. The drive to the port of San Diego took 14 minutes through traffic. Emergency vehicles screamed past them, heading toward the naval base. The city was in chaos. Radio chatter reported multiple casualties, fires, structural damage. This was the worst attack on U.S. soil since she'd been deployed overseas fighting to prevent exactly this. And it had happened here. Home. Bear's voice guided them. Ship is Pier 7, SS Meridian, registered out of Liberia. Cargo manifest lists agricultural equipment, but we all know that's bullshit. Thermal imaging shows 12 to 15 heat signatures on board, armed, professional dispersal pattern. Caleb. Can't confirm visually, but he's there. Has to be. They pulled into the industrial port area at 1600 hours. The sun hung low over the Pacific, painting everything in amber and shadow. Long sight lines, limited cover, tactical nightmare. Thornton's voice. I've got overwatch from the crane tower, southwest corner. Elevation gives me clean shots on the deck. I count 14 tangos armed. Military-grade weapons. Kira keyed her mic. Rules of engagement. Kruger answered before anyone else could. We need Caleb alive. Everyone else is expendable if they resist. FBI rules of engagement are contain and negotiate. Vasquez cut in. You are not authorized. Agent Vasquez, with respect, we're past authorization. Kira checked her Sig Sauer. 15 rounds plus 1 in the chamber. 2 spare magazines, 46 rounds total. If that ship leaves the harbor, those weapons disappear. Can't let that happen. Holbrook. I'm on the north perimeter with 2 of my men. We'll cut off escape routes. Dock medical station established. Southwest corner behind the container stack. I can reach any position in under 3 minutes. They were doing this. Actually doing this. A coordinated assault on a cargo ship in an American port using a mix of FBI resources, retired SEALs, and private military contractors. If anyone survived the paperwork alone, would be legendary. Kira moved toward the pier in a low crouch, using shipping containers for cover. 2 of Kruger's operators flanked her. Professional. Silent. These men knew their jobs. The SS Meridian was a mid-size freighter, maybe 300 feet long, rust-streaked hull, Panamanian flag, the kind of ship that moved questionable cargo to questionable ports and didn't ask questions. On deck, she could see movement. Men in tactical gear loading crates, working fast, organized. This wasn't a ragtag terrorist cell. This was trained personnel executing a time-sensitive operation. And standing near the gangway directing the loading, Caleb Voss. He looked different, harder. The drunken asshole from Murphy's Tavern was gone, replaced by something colder. He wore tactical gear, carried an M4 carbine with professional ease. This was who he really was. The bar fight had been theater. Bear Kira, I've got communications intercept. They're talking to someone on shore. Code words, sounds like Arabic. Translating now. How long until ship departure? 42 minutes, they're ahead of schedule. She needed to move fast, get aboard, secure Caleb, stop the ship, simple plan, hundreds of ways it could go wrong. Thornton. Ghost, you've got a sentry on the gangway, armed, alert, I can take him. Negative. Silenced shot will still alert the others, I need to get closer first. She moved, container to container, shadow to shadow. The sun was setting, throwing long shadows that helped concealment. 50 meters, 40, 30, the sentry turned, looked directly at her position. Kira froze, counted heartbeats. The man's eyes swept past her, moved on, hadn't seen her. 20 meters, she could hear voices now, English and Arabic mixed. Caleb shouting orders, last load, move it, we're wheels up in 30 minutes. A response in accented English. The attack was successful. America bleeds. Your father's equipment served jihad well. Caleb's laugh was bitter. My father's a mercenary who'd sell to anyone. This isn't about him. This is about justice. Justice for Iraq, for the brothers your grandfather killed. Kira's blood went ice cold. Bear confirmed it. Kira, I've got positive ID on the other voice. Rashid Al-Takriti, former Iraqi Republican Guard, Desert Justice Cell Commander. He's on the FBI's most wanted list, high-value target. This was bigger than equipment theft. This was a coordinated terrorist operation, and Caleb had just confirmed he knew exactly what he was doing. She keyed her mic. All teams, we have confirmation. Caleb Voss is actively collaborating with known terrorists. Rashid Al-Takriti is on site. This is now a counter-terrorism operation. Vasquez. FBI is scrambling HRT. ETA 12 minutes. We don't have 12 minutes. Miss Brennan, you are ordered to stand down and wait for... Kira touched her earpiece, switching from FBI frequency to team frequency. Some orders you followed. Some you ignored because following them got people killed. All teams switching to TAC 2. FBI is off comms. Bear's voice. Copy. You're clear on team channel. She moved to the gangway. The sentry was looking the other way. She covered the distance in 4 silent steps. Training. 1,000 repetitions of close-quarters combat. Her hand clamped over his mouth. Her other arm went around his throat. Blood choke. He struggled for 6 seconds. Went limp. She lowered him quietly, zip-tied his hands, gagged him. 1 down. She climbed the gangway, onto the deck, into the operational theater. 2 more sentries near the cargo hold. She could take them, probably, but that would alert everyone else. Better to get intel first, find out what she was dealing with. She moved along the starboard rail, staying low, found a position behind a ventilation housing, pulled out her phone, texted Bear. On deck, need layout. His response came immediately. Cargo hold amidships. That's where they're loading. Bridge forward, engine room aft, 12 hostiles visible, assume more below decks. She needed backup. This was too much for one operator, even a good one. As if reading her mind, 2 of Kruger's contractors appeared at the gangway. Professional hand signals. They'd cleared the approach. 3 more operators followed. 6 total now, including Kira. Against 12+ hostiles. Better odds. The lead contractor, callsign Razor, former Delta, moved to her position. Spoke in whispers, orders. Secure the bridge. Lock down the ship. Prevent departure. And the tangos! Detain if possible. Neutralize if necessary, but I need Caleb Voss and Rashid Al-Takriti alive. Copy. They moved as a team, Razor took 2 men toward the bridge. Kira and the other 2 headed for the cargo hold. She reached the hatch, looked down, saw the operation in full. Crates stacked floor to ceiling, military markings, C4 explosives, small arms, ammunition, enough to equip a small army or level several city blocks. And in the center of it all, Caleb Voss was arguing with Rashid Al-Tikriti. "We need to leave now," Caleb said. "The FBI will be here soon." Rashid shook his head. "Not until the last shipment is loaded. These weapons took years to acquire. We don't leave them behind." "Years I've been feeding you intelligence for 6 months. Before you there were others. Your father, for instance." Caleb froze. "What? Silas Voss? You think his cooperation began with you?" Rashid smiled. "He's been supplying Desert Justice for 15 years. Since 2009, a very profitable arrangement." No, he said. He said he was framed by the Brennans. He said, he lied. Your father is a mercenary. He sells to whoever pays, Americans, Iraqis, cartels. He doesn't care about justice, only money." Kira watched Caleb's face, watched the truth destroy something inside him. Whatever twisted ideology had led him here, it had been built on lies. "You used me," Caleb whispered. "We used each other. You wanted revenge against the Brennans. We wanted access to American military resources. Everyone got what they needed." Rashid turned back to his men. "Finish loading. We depart in 20 minutes. Kira made her decision. She dropped through the hatch, landed in a combat crouch, Sig Sauer up and aimed. "Federal agent, hands up!" She wasn't federal anything, but they didn't know that. 12 men spun toward her. 12 weapons started to raise. Thornton's voice crackled through the radio she'd dropped topside. "Weapons free, weapons free." The first shot came from 700 meters away. Thornton's Remington 700. The round punched through a window and took one of Rashid's men in the shoulder. Not a kill shot. Thornton was too good for that to be an accident. He was creating chaos, not bodies. The cargo hold erupted. Muzzle flashes. Shouting. Return fire toward positions they couldn't see. Kira moved. Training overrode thought, she engaged the nearest threat. 2 rounds center mass. He went down. Body armor caught one. The other punched through. He fell. Second target swinging toward her. She dropped, rolled. His rounds sparked off the deck where she'd been. She came up firing. 3 rounds, controlled pairs +1. He dropped. The 2 contractors with her engaged from the hatch. Suppressing fire, professional, disciplined. Caleb dove behind a crate, shouting, "It's Brennan, it's the fucking Brennan girl." Rashid's response was in Arabic. Rapid-fire orders. 3 of his men moved to flank Kira. Standard small unit tactics. She was in the open, exposed. She sprinted for cover. Rounds chewed the deck behind her. She made it behind a stack of ammunition crates, breathing hard. This was bad. She was pinned, outnumbered, and if a stray round hit the explosives, everyone on this ship was vapor. Above, through the hatch, more gunfire. Razor's team had engaged on deck. The professionals were fighting professionals. It sounded like a small war. Kira's radio crackled. Kruger's voice, "Brennan, we're coming in. Hold position. Negative, cargo hold is full of explosives. Any shooting down here risks detonation. Then what's your plan?" "Good question." She looked around, assessed. The cargo hold had 3 exits, main hatch above, loading doors port and starboard, and emergency access to the engine room aft. If she could reach the engine room, she could disable the ship, prevent departure. That was mission critical. But Rashid and Caleb were here, in this hold, with enough explosives to destroy half the port. She made the call. "All units, I'm moving to disable the engines. Keep them contained in the cargo hold." Thornton. "Negative, Ghost. You'll be isolated, no support." "Can't be helped. Someone has to stop this ship." She moved, low and fast, toward the aft bulkhead. Rounds followed her. She returned fire. Not aiming, just keeping heads down. Made it to the engine room access, cranked the hatch, dropped through, into mechanical hell. The engine room was a maze of pipes and machinery and heat. The ship's diesel engines rumbled, ready for departure. She could feel the vibration through the deck. She found the control panel, started shutting down systems, fuel pumps, electrical, cooling. Above her, she heard footsteps. Someone was following. She turned. Caleb Voss stood in the hatchway, M4 carbine pointed at her chest. "You," he said, voice shaking with rage. "You couldn't just let it go, couldn't just take the beating and move on. You attacked me with a bottle, pulled a knife. Your friend might never walk again because of his choices. Flynn was my brother, not by blood, but in every way that matters, and you crippled him. He tried to kill me with a bar stool. I stopped him. That's called consequence." Caleb's finger tightened on the trigger. "You Brennans, you think you're heroes. Your grandfather killed my friends in Iraq. Good men. Men who were just defending their country from American invasion. Your grandfather killed insurgents who were murdering civilians. There's a difference. Not to me." His voice broke. "And then I find out my father's been lying to me. Been working with the same people I thought I was avenging. It's all bullshit." Kira watched his eyes, saw the calculation, the moment before violence. She moved as he fired. The M4 round stitched the bulkhead where she'd been standing. She rolled right, came up shooting. Her first round took him in the thigh, the second in the shoulder. Both wounds designed to stop, not kill. Caleb screamed, dropped the M4, collapsed against the bulkhead, breathing in ragged gasps. Blood spread dark across his tactical vest. Kira kicked the weapon away, knelt beside him, applied pressure to the thigh wound. "Stay with me, Caleb. You're going to make it." "Why?" He coughed, face pale with shock. "Why save me?" "Because you're going to testify. Tell them everything about your father." His eyes focused on her with effort. "Father lied about everything. I know. Stay awake. Help is coming." Footsteps on the ladder. Multiple. Kira spun. Rashid Al-Takriti descended with 2 of his men, all armed. "Step away from him," Rashid said calmly. "He needs medical attention. He needs to die quietly. He's a liability now." Rashid's weapon never wavered. "And so are you, the famous Kira Brennan, Captain Garrett Brennan's daughter. Your father killed 17 of my men in Desert Storm. I've waited 33 years for this moment. My father was defending liberated territory from invasion. Your father was an imperialist soldier enforcing American will on sovereign nations. He destroyed Iraq, killed thousands, and now..." Rashid smiled. "Now I get to kill his daughter. Justice complete." Kira's Sig Sauer was empty. She'd counted rounds, knew exactly when the slide locked back, had been waiting for opportunity to reload. No opportunity now. 3 guns on her. Distance too great to close before they fired. This was how it ended. In an engine room, on a cargo ship, miles from anywhere that mattered. Then Thornton's voice echoed through the space. "Step away from my granddaughter." He stood at the opposite hatch, 76 years old, Remington 700 shouldered, eyed a scope. Rashid turned, started to aim. Thornton fired. The round took Rashid in the shoulder, precise, deliberate. Not a kill shot. Thornton was too good a marksman to miss center mass at 30 feet unless he meant to. Rashid's 2 men opened fire. Kira dove for Caleb's dropped M4. Came up shooting. Took the first man down. The second turned toward her. Thornton's second shot took him in the leg. He fell. Rashid was on the ground bleeding, trying to reach his weapon. Kira kicked it away, stood over him. "It's over." "Never," Rashid hissed. "We are everywhere. This attack is just the beginning. More will come. America will burn for what it did to..." The entire ship shuddered. A massive explosion. Not on the ship. Close, very close. Thornton's radio crackled. Secondary explosion at the naval base. They had a backup team, more casualties. Kira looked at Rashid. "What did you do?" He smiled through bloody teeth. "Insurance. 2 teams, 2 targets. Even if you stopped us here, the mission succeeds." Her blood went cold. "How many?" "Enough." She wanted to hit him, wanted to make him hurt the way those sailors were hurting, the way their families would hurt, but Thornton's hand on her shoulder stopped her. "We got him, Ghost. That's what matters. Let the law handle the rest." Footsteps pounded above. FBI hostage rescue team poured onto the ship. Tactical gear, automatic weapons, they secured the scene with professional efficiency. Agent Vasquez descended into the engine room, took in the bodies, the blood, Kira standing there with an empty weapon. "Miss Brennan, you are in so much trouble. I stopped the ship. You engaged in unauthorized tactical operations, violated federal law, created an international incident." Vasquez looked at the carnage. "But you also prevented a terrorist arms shipment and captured a high-value target, so," she sighed, "we'll figure it out later. Right now you need to come with me. All of you." They extracted to the pier. Paramedics descended on Caleb and Rashid. Both would survive their wounds. Both would face federal charges. Silas Voss was there in handcuffs. FBI had arrested him the moment shooting started. Evidence of his 15-year collaboration with Desert Justice had been found on Rashid's phone. Text messages, wire transfers, shipping manifests. He was done. When Silas saw Caleb being loaded into an ambulance, something broke in him. He tried to run to his son. The FBI agents held him back. "Caleb's son, I'm sorry, I'm so sorry." Caleb turned his head away, wouldn't look at him. "I did it for the money, for us, for the family." "You have to understand." "I understand perfectly," Caleb said quietly. "You're a traitor, and so am I." The ambulance doors closed. Draven Kruger was also in custody. Not arrested, but detained. His cooperation had been noted, his crimes documented. The next few years of his life would be courtrooms and lawyers. As for Kira, she sat on the pier with a shock blanket around her shoulders and coffee. She couldn't taste. Thornton sat beside her. Neither spoke. They didn't need to. Doc arrived, checked her over. Minor scrapes, bruises, nothing serious. "You're going to be sore for a week," he said, "but you'll live." "That's the plan." Holbrook appeared, looked old suddenly, tired. "Kira, that was the most reckless, stupid, brilliant thing I've ever seen. Your father would be proud and horrified simultaneously. How bad is the naval base?" His face fell. 16 dead now, 43 wounded. Could have been worse, but still. He trailed off. 16 families destroyed because she hadn't been fast enough, smart enough, good enough. Thornton seemed to read her mind. "Not your fault, Ghost. You stopped what you could, saved what you could. Can't ask for more than that." But she could. She would. For the rest of her life, she'd wonder if there was something she could have done differently. Some way to save those 16. That was the burden warriors carried. The weight of every life you couldn't save. Agent Vasquez approached. "Miss Brennan, we need to debrief, extensively. This is going to take days." "I know. But for the record, off the record, you did good work today. Questionable legality, definitely unauthorized, but good work. Thank you. Don't thank me yet. The paperwork alone will make you wish you'd stayed home." 2 weeks later, the full picture emerged. Caleb Voss accepted a plea deal. Life in prison in exchange for full cooperation. He provided evidence that led to the arrest of 17 Desert Justice operatives across 4 states. Rashid Al-Tikriti was transferred to Guantanamo Bay. Enemy combatant status. He'd never see civilian court. Silas Voss was charged with treason, arms trafficking, and conspiracy to commit terrorism. His trial was scheduled for the following year. He was looking at life without parole. Draven Kruger cut a deal with the FBI. Immunity in exchange for complete disclosure of Ironclad's operations. The company was dissolved, its assets seized. Judge Robert Hutchins recused himself from all related cases and announced early retirement. An ethics investigation was pending, but with his nephew's confession and Silas's testimony, criminal charges seemed inevitable. Flynn Murdoch remained paralyzed from the waist down. Against all expectations, he declined to pursue civil litigation. In a brief statement through his attorney, he acknowledged that he'd attacked Kira with a deadly weapon and accepted responsibility for the consequences. He was beginning physical therapy and adapting to life in a wheelchair. Addison returned from Oregon 3 weeks later. She and Kira met for coffee at a different location. Neither mentioned Murphy's Tavern, some places you didn't go back to, and Kira Brennan became a footnote in the official reports. Civilian consultant who provided assistance to federal law enforcement. Her role was downplayed, sanitized. The FBI didn't want headlines about unauthorized tactical operations. She was fine with that. The awards came anyway. FBI Director's Commendation, Navy League Distinguished Service Medal, presented in private ceremonies away from media. She accepted them, thanked the people who gave them, felt nothing, because 16 sailors were still dead, 43 still recovering, families still grieving. No medal fixed that. 4 weeks after the port operation, Kira flew to Montana. Thornton met her at the airport, pulled her into a hug that lasted longer than words. They drove to his ranch in silence. 500 acres of mountains and pine trees and sky so big it made you feel small in the best way. That first evening they sat on the porch, watched the sun set over the Rockies, the kind of sunset that painted the world in golds and purples and made you believe in something beyond yourself. "How are you?" Thornton asked. "I don't know." "Honest answer. I appreciate that." He sipped coffee. "Your father used to sit right here after he came back from Desert Storm. Day before he died, actually. He'd gotten emergency leave. Flew home to see you. You were 2 years old, don't remember it." "What did he say?" "He said war was uglier than he'd imagined. Said he'd killed 17 men, knew their faces, knew the exact moment life left their eyes." Thornton's voice was quiet. "Said he didn't know if he could live with that." "How did you respond?" "I told him that carrying that weight meant he was still human, still capable of feeling. The day it stopped bothering him was the day he needed to worry." Thornton looked at her. "You're bothered by those 16 sailors. Good. Means you're not broken." "Doesn't feel good. It's not supposed to. That's the price of being a warrior. We carry the dead with us, all of them, every single one, enemy and friend alike." They sat in silence. The sun dropped below the mountains. Stars emerged, more stars than seemed possible spread across the Montana sky like diamonds on black velvet. "I got job offers," Kira said eventually. "FBI wants me for Organized Crime Division, CIA for operations, Homeland Security, even a few PMCs who apparently didn't get the memo about Ironclad. What do you want?" "Honestly, I want to sit on this porch and not think about violence for a while." Thornton smiled. "That can be arranged." So she stayed. Days became weeks, weeks became a month. She helped around the ranch, fixed fences, chopped wood. Simple work that required hands but not thoughts. Mornings she ran, 10 kilometers through mountain trails, pushed her body until the noise in her head quieted. Afternoons, Thornton taught her things he'd never had time to teach before: advanced marksmanship, survival skills, the kind of knowledge you passed down because it mattered. Evenings they talked about her father, about Thornton's service, about what it meant to be a warrior in a world that didn't understand warriors. "Your father asked me once," Thornton said one night, "what I was most proud of in my career. Know what I told him? What? That I'd fought in 3 wars and came home every time with my honor intact, not because I was the best shooter or the smartest tactician, but because I never compromised on what was right, even when right was hard." He looked at her directly. "You've got that same core, Kira. That same refusal to compromise. You could have walked away from that port, let the FBI handle it. Stayed safe." He smiled. "But you didn't. Because 16 sailors had already died and you weren't going to let more die if you could stop it. That's honor. That's what it means to be a Brennan." Tears ran down Kira's face. She didn't wipe them away. "I miss him, Grandpa, Dad. Even though I barely remember him, I miss him." "I know, me too, every single day." Thornton pulled her close. "But he's here. In you. In everything you do. The way you stand. The way you fight. The way you refuse to quit. That's all Garrett Brennan coming through." "And you," Kira whispered. "And me. 3 generations of Brennans. All of us too stubborn to know when we're beaten." He laughed. Soft, warm. "Your grandmother used to say the Brennan family motto should be, 'We're too dumb to quit.'" Kira laughed too. Felt something loosen in her chest. The first genuine lightness she'd felt in weeks. They sat there as the stars wheeled overhead, grandfather and granddaughter, warrior and warrior, family. "What are you going to do?" Thornton asked eventually. "About the job offers. I think—" Kira paused, thought about it, really thought. "I think I'm going to start something new, a training facility for female combat veterans transitioning to civilian life, help them find purpose after service, give them the support I wish I'd had." Thornton nodded. "Your father would love that, helping others, creating something positive from all the darkness." Yeah, and you know what, I'll help. Got nothing but time and a lifetime of knowledge to share. You'd do that. Kira, you're my granddaughter, my family, there's nothing I wouldn't do for you." He squeezed her shoulder. "Besides, someone needs to make sure you don't get into any more unauthorized tactical operations. That was one time. It better stay one time. My heart can't take much more excitement." But he was smiling when he said it. 6 months later, Vanguard Transition opened its doors. A facility in Colorado, mountains, fresh air, space to breathe and heal. Kira ran it with Thornton's help. They taught skills, provided counseling, connected veterans with opportunities. Most importantly, they listened. Let women who'd served tell their stories, share their struggles, find community with others who understood. It wasn't flashy, wasn't glamorous, but it mattered. And every Sunday, Kira called her grandfather. They'd talk for hours. About the program, about life, about everything and nothing. Sometimes they talked about that night at the port, the violence, the cost. But mostly they talked about the women they were helping, the lives they were changing, the purpose they were creating from pain. That was legacy. That was honor. That was what it meant to be a Brennan. And somewhere Kira liked to think her father was watching. Proud of the daughter he'd never gotten to know. Proud of the warrior she'd become. Not because of the violence she could inflict, but because of the healing she chose to create. That was the real victory. That was what mattered. And as she stood on the porch of her Colorado facility watching the sunset over mountains that reminded her of Montana, of home, of family, Kira Brennan finally understood what her grandfather had been trying to teach her all along. Being a warrior wasn't about fighting. It was about protecting, not just with weapons and tactics, but with compassion, with understanding, with the willingness to stand between darkness and those who'd already fought it. That was the mission, and it was one she'd spend the rest of her life completing, for her father, for her grandfather, for every warrior who'd ever carried weight they couldn't put down. This was her purpose now, and she was ready.